Welcome back to another pen talk. Thanks for tuning in. And no, you are not on the wrong channel. You're seeing a rock. But the rock is here to illustrate a characteristic that some of us enjoy in fountain pens called chatoyancy. This is a labradorite rock. Chrisang in Texas, one of my viewers and fellow pen enthusiasts, said that she liked this rock, so I decided to get one and found it a great buy on eBay. Here's the auction. And I just wanted to see if with sunlight is going to bring out the depth and color that this stone has in it. I didn't expect it to be as nice as it turned out to be. It was a very pleasant surprise. We're also going to look at it under different light, because I think different light will change the way that the stone shows up. But I figured nothing's as good as pure sunlight to bring out these characteristics: natural light, a natural stone. You know, every angle has a different perspective to it, and that's one of the interesting features of this natural chatoyancy that this stone exhibits. You know, it's crystalline patterns within the rock, which is probably a quartz base. And because those crystalline patterns were formed in different angles and planes and have different refractivity properties, they produce chatoyancy. And that's my theory without doing any real research on it. But I've been a rock dude for a while and have had my share of collections. I still, I think, have my original collection buried somewhere in the basement. So hopefully this twirly by view, Mia, is of interest to you. And now we're going to look at some pens which I think are good examples of a chatoyancy that is made into the shape of a writing instrument. This is a pen I bought. One of my first really dives into the handmade pens of the United States. And obviously I fell in love with the color, the chatoyancy of this pen. Just amazing. This is a large pen. It color follows through to the section, and this will give you an indication of this pen. It fits well in the hand. It looks great in the hand. We changed the angle of the sun to hopefully bring out these characteristics. So that's the fun part about video, is sunlight, light in general, angle of the light versus angle of the camera lens is certainly going to change the way things look. We're going to jump from an American-made pen into a recent Chinese find that I came up with, and I just found this acrylic to be extremely interesting, extremely, you know, intriguing in the different colors, the chatoyancy, the depth, the variety, you know, the way the light just plays on this acrylic is just interesting. And it also has your interesting identifying marks. The section here is made out of just regular, you know, plastic. Nice metal end at the end. You know, these pens I've done full reviews on, so we're not going to go into details about them. This is just basically to talk about chatoyancy. Back to another American-made pen. Also one of my early acquisitions. Well, not real early. There was one before this. But here we have chatoyancy with the minimal color variation. So we basically got gray and black, and you know, you might pick up some other colors in there. I occasionally see some other colors, but they're kind of subtle. And these little bands here certainly add to the interest of the design. You know, this is a Franklin-Christop, and they're known for what I consider to be very good designs, very practical designs. You know, the section, very nice design, long section here, nice block threads. You know, this was just a beautiful pen, you know, fits well in the hand and works well as a writing instrument. We're going to bounce across the ocean to Italy. A lot of examples I could have used, but I still think this one exemplifies Chatoyancy in modern acrylics. In this one, there's probably a crystalline pattern laid down. As you can see, as you turn the pen 180 degrees, you see the Chatoyancy reappear, and that same feature appears in this color here at the end cap. And also in the white acrylic that makes up the cap also has some decent Chatoyancy to it. It's hard to show up the white Chatoyancy. You need to catch the light just right. And as I like in my pens, that Chatoyancy is brought forward into the grip section. It's just an amazing visual characteristic that I just find makes pens so much more interesting. You know, in addition to being writing instruments, they're also items of beauty. Jumping back halfway across the world, I'm using this Chinese pen as an example of another type of that Chatoyancy that we saw in the Monte Modena Citizen. It just, again, it doesn't have that color variations that you get in some of them, and also those color variations were quite well shown in the labradorite rock. This also has a section which exemplifies that same material. This is on the small side, so it's a pen that you definitely would post. And again, that acrylic certainly looks nice. Returning to America / India, we would be remiss without including a Noodler's acrylic. This is the Neponset, and I bought it because it had a gold nib, and Nathan was selling them one time only at the Boston Pen Show a couple years ago. And I have to admit that the acrylic definitely caught my attention. Interesting combination of colors, great Chatoyancy. You know, has that section, the same material. It's a big size pen. Fits well in the hand, it's lightweight. It posts into a huge pen, a little bit back heavy, but what makes this nice is that gold music nib that Nathan made a few of. It is extremely soft, extremely wet. Good touching finish on a pen of this nature. Staying on the same side of the ocean, this Jinhao pen has reputed to be real abalone embedded in the barrel, and I have no reason to doubt that. And so this is again that natural Chatoyancy that a material can have, an organic material in this case versus a crystalline rock material in the original example. But this has that variety. You know, it really exemplifies one of the key characteristics of Chatoyancy, and the fact that it has such a great variety to it, and also has such a interesting change based on the nature of the way the light hits it. So hopefully you're able to see those clearly. And here's another Jinhao that I also did a review on, which again only basically has three major colors in it, but they're really shown off to their full extent in the way this material is machined and made into a pen. And I'm using these Jinhao examples as, you know, relatively affordable, under $15 or under $20, depending upon which seller and what they're selling and when they're selling. But, you know, they're good writing instruments, and they also provide a substantial amount of eye candy. Again, the section here is the same. It's a black material, so it, you know, they did a very common design element. They matched the the top of the cap with, you know, the bottom of the barrel, you know, kind of like your Parker dual-fold design. So as his last example, this is not a vintage pen, but it's made with vintage celluloid. Again, another pen I picked up at a pen show from Mr. Levy, who runs Bexley Pens. So I just found this material to just be very interesting. You know, it doesn't have extreme amount of color variation to it, but I just enjoy the subtleties and the way the light plays on the material, and I just love this pen. You know, there is really subtle shades of green and yellow and gold and obviously the common color brown, but I just love it. And this is where probably chips were put into the celluloid when it was poured, and then when it was machined, those chips get exposed at various levels and provide this amazing chatoyancy to this beautiful pen. And a lot of acrylics, and this is a celluloid pen, and when you open it up, you know it's celluloid because that formaldehyde smell comes through. So we're going to end where we started off with the rock. You got to enjoy nature in all its forms and permutations, and how it continues to provide us with interesting things to observe and enjoy, and just get totally lost in their qualities, accepting in them for what they are, enjoying them for what they are. And it's just interesting, I think, to find how this characteristic of a rock has been portrayed into many different forms of writing instruments, and they were manufactured for our enjoyment. So I hope you enjoyed this visual little vlog, and may you have many great writing experiences. Enjoy the phenomenal world of pens, inks, papers, and maybe a few rocks. Till later, bye.